get funky.
All right, welcome back to the Bizz. Again, you know me, Daniels, D-Money here in Simi Valley.
And I'm A.A. Ron down in San Diego, representing my Dodgers. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, all right. Well, you can
Dodgers
see
are our farm team.
you can see what I'm representing. I'm from the East Coast, so all my teams are East Coast teams. When we talk about basketball, I will be rocking that Celtics green.
Never heard of them.
All right, so what? Get in it.
All right, so today we're going to talk about baseball and should it shorten its season? And my quick answer is yes. It's been a trillion years since baseball's been America's pastime. And football is definitely king at this point.
So hold on, before we go further, you're talking about shortening the season for good, not just because of the COVID thing.
The COVID's just a sampler. Think of it that way. It's just a sample of it, but for good. There's no sense of urgency in baseball. 162 games. It literally doesn't matter if you win game one. For every team, your home opener
it doesn't matter
is irrelevant.
It doesn't matter if you win the first 10 games when you have 162 of them.
It doesn't. And my whole theory is based around playoff baseball. That you see the pressure. Everybody watches every pitch of playoff baseball because every pitch matters, and the amount of pressure on a pitcher is insane. You don't want to be the guy that gives up a home run or that run that makes your team lose the ball game. Baseball needs that sense of urgency. I much I'd rather see baseball live than watch it on TV because the problem I have with TV is that they only show the pitcher and the batter. There's a lot going on behind the pitcher that they never show. But baseball needs to stop being so rigid.
Well, how do they change the rigidity of baseball? I mean, it is what it is. It's set up the way it is. How do we make it more exciting? So we want to sit and watch 162 games.
I don't. I can go to watch my Dodgers week one and forget all about it because it means nothing. I had a good time. There's a social aspect to baseball that you don't really get in other sports. When you go to a baseball game, you're with your buddies and it's almost like there's a game in the background. It's a slower paced game. I'm not saying change the rules of baseball. I'm saying shorten the season so every game matters. I want better games across the board.
All right. So by that same logic, let's jump to our favorite sport. Let's jump to football real quick. So your Broncos lose the first game of the season.
It matters.
Not if they win their next 15 or 16 or their next 12, or by the end of the season they've won 12 more games or they've won 13 games.
It's easier said than done because in football you're guaranteed injuries. That 53-man roster you start with will not be the 53-man roster you end with.
No, definitely not. But if you start off, if you lose, right, you lose your first week. Like last year, the Steelers, they started 0-3 last year. And, by the time the season was over, they only missed the playoffs by a game. So, and I guess in that instance, I'm proving your point, but
it matters.
If you're a winning team and you lose that first game, does it really make a difference? I guess it matters. I guess it depends on who you lose to.
Yeah, and you don't know what week 7 isn't the same as week 10.
Is it the same in baseball?
No, it's not, but I guess I want more players to lean in. The players know the season's long. What do they say? It's a marathon, not a sprint. I don't need a full sprint. I just need you to jog a little faster.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I am totally dedicated to football. I will watch all 16 of the Patriots games every year, and I'll watch a whole bunch of different other games too because I love the game. And because it's only 17 weeks, 16 games, and then the playoffs, I can invest in that. It's hard for me to invest in 162 games.
It's almost impossible.
NBA is what, 82 games?
82.
82 games, it's hard for me to invest in 82 games. And I guess it's more difficult for me simply because I don't have the NBA package. I can't watch the Celtics every night. But I always do get the Patriots, the NFL package. But because I don't get the NBA package, it's hard for me to keep track of 82 games.
And
Definitely.
I don't get the baseball package for that reason. I watch the Dodgers when they come to town and play the Padres. If you go down to that ballpark, it's a Dodger home game every single time.
Well, that's because San Diego has crappy fans. I mean, we went to sorry, San Diego. I don't mean to offend
It's
anybody.
we're a transplant city. It's
It
a
is a
transplant.
transplant city. It's a military military town, right? Pendleton down there. So when we went to Charger games, every Charger game we went to, we never watched the Chargers win, by the way. Every Charger game we went to,
It's the Charger way.
yeah, it was an away game for the Chargers, but a home game for every other team we watched play.
Yes. So, we went to, or I saw on TV, Chargers Browns. I was shocked that many people from Ohio were repping the Browns. Floored at that many people that would claim to be from Ohio publicly. I said,
Are the Padre fans watching 162 games?
I feel San Diego kind of gets it. They're not. San Diego kind of gets a bad rap because nobody wants to come and play here because the history of the organization isn't like the Yankees. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's so many other things to do that, yeah, I would argue that the entire state of California is a bunch of fair weather fans. Doesn't matter if it's the 49ers or the artists formerly known as the Oakland Raiders.
So you think Raiders fans are fair weather?
No, that's you know what? They're probably the exception because they show up and they've been losing my entire life.
The last
It's
Super Bowl.
not true. I'm gonna get attacked for that.
But they played the Bucks in 02, 03, whatever year that was. 02.
Yeah.
I forget. One of those. It was.
And the Tuck game, that's and I'm a believer that the league is better when the Raiders are competitive. There's a history there.
I agree. You brought up the Tuck rule. Just put it out there. Raiders fans are still crying about the Tuck rule. They're actually still crying about the Immaculate Reception too. Just want to put that out there.
The Raiders are just like the Padres. Poor ownership. You cannot put a product on the field that's bad for that long. You suck at owning a team.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams out there that are guilty of that in all sports.
Right? Yes. Right. The Miami Marlins, I think last season there was a game where there was only 600 people in the crowd.
Wow.
It's not even worth being. It would have been cheaper to play the game with no fans.
And
they lost money.
Thousands of people.
Like 20,000 people, 600.
Oh, that's bad.
Everybody gets a turn to bat. It's really bad.
So do you think that would change? You think there'd be more turnout if there were fewer games and each game mattered more?
Yes, and baseball, if you think about it, is one of the last sports that's affordable. You take a family of 4 to see a baseball game, and I've got tons of Dodger friends. I prefer Petco Park because it's a little smaller and there really isn't it's a newer stadium, but there really or ballpark. There's not a bad seat in the house. You get tickets for like $30 or $40, and whereas football's $150 plus the $90 beer.
Right.
So it's
still a family more fun. It's not as rigid. If I can use the word you used earlier.
The challenge with football's other issue is that the product on TV is better than the product at the stadium. Because if you're sitting,
let me let that marinate for a second. All right, because the product on TV, it's not just behind the picture. We're getting all angles of that football game at home.
Correct. And if you're sitting on one end zone, you're like, what happened? On the other side of the field.
All right. I'll buy that.
And baseball, the ballparks are round, so everybody's pretty much engaged. But I much rather watch baseball live, and because TV just doesn't really work for me. The whole TV thing
because it's not engaging enough.
It's not. I'm like baseball's so much better live.
I agree. I'd much prefer to go to an actual baseball game than
Yeah, then watch it. When's the last time you sat and watched a regular season baseball game, start to finish,
On TV.
on TV? Is it
The World
1876?
Series.
Like,
The World
no,
Series last year.
regular
Regular
season, start to finish.
Wow. Probably when
Jerry Curl.
no, when I was like when Bucky Dent was like the shortstop. Do you
My
even know who
response
Bucky
to
Dent
that,
is?
I was like, who?
Oh, see, yeah, that's probably
There
the
you
last
go.
time I watched the baseball game from start to finish, regular
Start
season on
regular.
TV.
There you go.
Been a long
It's
time.
it's a long time. And baseball, again, my argument is a more social event when you go to the game, because we're talking about anything. Baseball games on in the background. We're talking to everybody. The crowd tends to get low, and
Right.
there's a hit. We all jump up and see
Right.
it's
And then it's another 2 innings before we get that
a
again.
lull.
Right.
And so it's like background music sometimes, but it's a super social event with beer.
Right. All right. So, and I'm not opposed to that argument. I think if they shorten the baseball season, and I agree, maybe the games would mean more. We get more people going to them because it's hard to. It's hard to have the same type of enthusiasm in April. It's a whole different vibe in October. It is.
Yes.
So, and that's a long stretch.
Especially if your team is relevant in October.
Right.
It's just different. And and I would even pay a little more for baseball. Because again, the tickets are still affordable.
Right.
You sit anywhere in the ballpark. But I need baseball to get it together.
You hear that, baseball?
All
Straight
of you
from the Bizz. We want you to get it together.
Get it together.
Right. All right. Well, you heard the buzzer. Our time is done for this evening. I'm pretty sure I pissed off some Raiders fans tonight, but I'm a Patriots fan. I'm kind of used to.
They're
that.
my division. It's my job to piss them off.
Right. We get to play them this year, or do we play them this year? We do play them this year.
I play them every year.
You do. I'm sorry. And that's it for this episode of The Bizz. If you like the show, please make sure that you like at the bottom. Make sure you subscribe. And we'll be back to The Bizz. All right. Have a good one. We're out.
Bizz.